Welcome to One Man's Tracks, the secondhand music channel. As I continue down this peculiar avenue of expanding my musical understandings, I can't help but notice a couple of patterns beginning to emerge with this odd little P band streak I've been on with P bands that have recent releases that also have cool stuff I've missed out on in the past I thought you might want to know about. It really highlights just how much of a passion I have for those interesting alternative 90s groups, as well as accentuated just how fervent this era's demand and concentrated push for the general expansion of musical expression. An accelerated sonic wave of willingness to push artistic and technological boundaries has me inundated with an incredible assortment of peak CD era albums that I'm excited to learn more about and can't wait to share with you, but I can only seem to do it one band at a time, so today I'm here to talk about another highly influential band that fully embraces change while still embodying the moment. Let's talk about Primal Scream. Formed in Glasgow in 1982, Primal Scream initially consisted of just a pair of equally musically disenfranchised high school friends, Jim Beattie and Bobby Gillespie, playing fuzz guitar and rudimentary percussives while screaming primally. They had several members throughout the mid 80s, with Andrew Innes joining as guitarist, Robert Young as a bassist guitarist, as well as Martin Duffy on the keys, and lean in a far more jangly, softer, indie psych rock direction with the release of their debut album in 1987, Sonic Flower Groove. Radical stylistic evolutions quickly became the norm, alongside a new bassist and drummer. Their 1989 self-titled follow-up is far grittier, with a blues rockin' backbone and smokier ballads. I'm not quite sure if it was that album's minimal commercial success or just the band's creative determinism that led to another shift in gears, but alongside the burgeoning electronic scene, particularly the combination of acid house and would inspire the band and help launch their careers to way new heights with their 1991 release of Sceamadelica, a pivotal milestone for both the band and the progression of rock and dance music as a whole. Screamadelica remains an inspirational piece of experimental fusioneering, with tracks like Loaded incorporating jazzy sampling over drum and bass grooves with gospel elements to it. It's just a brilliant smorgasbord of a record that was so undeniable it opened a ton of new musical avenues. I mean, we might not even have Daft Punk without this record. The only way to follow that up would be with yet another ahead of the curve stylistic turn, this time going to Memphis to record and produce their soulful, guitar driven Americana album, Give Out But Don't Give Up, in 1994. They've actually recently re released the original recordings of this record, and I think that album, reintroduced outside of the context of the 90s pop, has given that such a more timeless quality that I find it kind of interesting that it's a great example of 90s fuckery going just a little too far on this record. As great as the original record is, don't miss out on the original Memphis recordings, because wow, these guys, they can do it all. Now, this was a fairly contentious time for the group, leading to a brief hiatus period and eventually yet another passing of the rhythm torches, adding in drummer Paul Mulroney alongside just a varied cast of prestigious session bassists and guest musicians for the recording of this, the band's fifth full-length record, produced by Brendan Lynch and the band themselves, released in July of 1997 through Creation and Reprise Records. It's Primal Scream's Vanishing Point. Inspired by and named after the 1971 Richard Safarian cult film about an unflappable, unstoppable, fatalistic speed freak named Kowalski racing from Denver all the way to San Francisco. The band were a big fan of the movie, but felt like it deserved a more poignant soundtrack, and boy howdy did they deliver one. This record is a tremendous, feel-good, cinematic, electro-psych rock joyride. Simultaneously invigorating and easygoing, Vanishing Point is unafraid of the potential stylistic whiplash its eclectic track list might cause, because at any velocity, we can rest assured that these guys will not lose their groove or ever become too complacent. Trust in their nearly unmatched ability to bring together a whole world of melodic mashups into a concise yet thorough and dynamic snapshot of the moment. This carefree but driven record's masterful blending of retro-futuristic ideas and sounds alongside its conscientious, grounded themes makes for an album that'll hook you in right away, take you on a wicked trip, and then keep on giving with each successive listen. I've really already talked too much about these guys, but I need to talk about their music, and particularly this music. So let's get into this gritty, freewheeling rock fusion epic with the ease of its neo-psychedelic opener, Burning Wheel, priming the listener for the upcoming 53 moving minutes of blurred genre conventions with its dubbed up, trancy, primal sampled world beat layers all blending together into this hazy, cruisy, uplifting piece of pop rock. We then get another textured, smoky one in the form of the loungy, cinematic elevator instrumental called Get Duffy. It suavely drifts us through in a Sukiya-esque type fashion towards this album's lead single and the faux main theme of Vanishing Point, Kowalski. Here's where we get the introduction of Manny to the group. Fresh out of the Stone Roses, Primal Scream were finishing up the mix for this record and needed another bass line, so he swung by and polished off this track to perfection. The first of many incredible additions he would make as Primal Scream's official bassist. What an amazing introduction this is! He drives this electro rock ripper to the point of making it feel like a massive attack song on amphetamines. And that's not to say that the other bassist performances aren't very noteworthy either, with Marco Nelson and even Glenn Matlock having some contributions on this album that are both supremely funky and punky in their own rights. Heck, we even get Andrew Innes laying down some nice, fuzzy, atmospheric riffs from time to time here as well. Like with the floaty, empowering Star. It also is a track that features the legendary melodica stylings of Augustus Pablo and even some celebratory, soulful brass from the Memphis Horns. Shifting gears once again, but keeping those delicious horn riffs playing, we're moving on to If They Move, Killam's ever unraveling, squealing hip-hop instrumental before trip-hopping over to Out of the Void. It's a lost, deserted track full of all sorts of fun lyrics, allusions, and this album's ever-intriguing subtle fusions. Stuka Cooks, turning up the heat with some absolutely throbbing, dub nasty rhythms. This might just be the peak for me. I can't get enough, and I love its explorations into the duality of existence. I love its presence, its attitude, and it just makes me the happiest boy in the world to know that there's a phenomenal dub remix album of Vanishing Point called Echo Deck by Adrian Sherwood that they put out just the following year in '98. Turning that radio dial from rootsy dub to punk rock Americana, we hit Medication, a song simply sick of living in the city. It rocks its way along till we hit the Rollin' Hawkwind cover on this album. It's a legendary track in its own right, but this reworked version of Motorhead is, yeah, still gritty and driving, but definitely cruisier and stonier than Lemmy's version. Finally crossing the Nevada-California border, our weary but valiant road warrior gets to drift along to an entirely different film score. It's Trainspotting's, decompressing while its smooth, danceable, beachy vibes play along before splashing right into Long Life's watery, glittering synths. It feels like a bright and free Radiohead tune. We have this shining send-offs, rays of sunshine, making everyday struggles vanish, while we get to the point of reflecting on the journey, sitting and appreciating the beauty of the rising mother-sun. Man, do I love it when an album wraps itself up so nicely like that for me. What a vibe these guys managed to capture. It so consistently delivers on so many fronts. This epic hero's journey that's fulfilling and thought-provoking, and with the added context of the film, it makes it all the more satisfying. It's this unifying LP that helped to launch a brand new prolific era of Primal Scream and prepare them to continue to charge boldly into the 21st century. The band would finally settle into a more solid foundation with Darren Mooney taking over on Skins, and they'd kick off the new millennium with a bang. Their politically charged Industrial Exterminator was released in January of 2000. It was followed in quick succession in 2002 by Evil Heat, and then the same lineup was together for one more in 2006 before Robert Young left the band, and that's Riot City Blues. After their anthemic 2008 release, Beautiful Future, Manny would eventually leave to rejoin the reformed Roses, but there's no way of stopping a band that's this seasoned. Simone Butler is currently the bassist for Primal Scream and has been for over a decade now, and 3 album cycles, with 2013's More Light, 2016's Chaosmosis, and just last year with 2024's Come Ahead, which sadly was the first Primal Scream album to not include Martin Duffy on keys, as he passed away in late 2022. The band's done some more recent soundtrack work, and Bobby's got a book out that I'm interested in reading with over 40 years of rock and roll, and I'm sure he's got a tale or two to tell. I'd love to know your thoughts, memories, feelings, favorite Primal Scream moments. Leave me a comment, like the video, subscribe for more. Here's a couple more albums I think you're really gonna dig. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Take all the best care. Every person is a star. Every person is a star.